I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and here with me I have the Suzuki SX4 S-Cross, a new high-riding wagon for the Australian market. Aimed squarely at the Nissan Dualis and Mitsubishi ASX, Suzuki is aiming to beat the more established brands at their own game. While the car has some ungainly angles, it's certainly not offensive to look at, and in fact, it's one of the most practical options in the segment. The best feature of the S-Cross's cabin are these supportive front seats. But in terms of matching the competition, Suzuki still has a long way to come in terms of interior design. It's 50 shades of grey in here. The GLX and GLX Prestige models are equipped with this 6.1-inch colour touchscreen, which is a nice inclusion, but unfortunately the screen itself is fairly low resolution, grainy, and it looks aftermarket. That makes it difficult to do things like read street names on the satellite navigation. Thankfully, pairing a phone through Bluetooth and streaming your music from it really couldn't be easier, and we were quite pleased with the sound quality from the stereo. Thankfully, there are lots of little cubby holes dotting the cabin, like this big glove box, fairly wide door bins, and a central bin here, which makes it easy to throw all of your everyday stuff wherever you need to put it. The S-Cross is a little more expensive than we might have expected, with this mid-spec GLX automatic setting you back about $36,000. It is possible to enter an S-Cross at about $25,000 for the base model GL manual, which for most people will be plenty. Generous room in the back is a real benefit of the S-Cross. Even with the driver's seat in my driving position, yep, that's right, 6 foot nothing, I still have plenty of room back here with adequate legroom and lots of headroom thanks to the high roof. With the seats up, boot space in the S-Cross is near the top of the class with 430 litres. But you can triple this easily by folding down the rear seats, giving you 1,270 litres of space and a completely flat floor for all of the flat pack furniture that you could dream of. Let's be honest, Suzuki four-wheel drives have often been practical, but they've always been horrible to drive, which is why when we picked up the S-Cross, it was such a pleasant surprise. Around town, the S-Cross shines. It's perky and responsive, the quick steering means it's a breeze to park at the shops, and visibility all round is pretty good. Even at higher speeds, the S-Cross is a stunner. You could even call it refined. Choosing an engine in the S-Cross is pretty easy because there's just one. And on paper, it doesn't look too great. And it's propelled by a little 1.6 litre naturally aspirated 4 with 86 kilowatts of power at the red line and 156 newton meters of torque at the mid-range. It should feel slow, but it doesn't. Paired to an effective CVT automatic transmission, the S-Cross really feels like it wants to go, and it's pretty quick off the line. And yes, I did just describe a CVT transmission as effective. Many other CVTs I've driven have been horrendous, groaning boxes, which are far, far less effective than a conventional automatic. But this one is generally pretty good, it's quiet, and stays out of the way, which is what you want. Suzuki have given the S-Cross supportive seats up the front, and that makes this car pretty comfortable, even over long distances. And the handling is also impressive for a crossover. The S-Cross sits flat in the corners, and the steering is okay, but at times it can be a little vague and indirect. The ride is also on the firm side, but it's nothing really to worry about. On the safety front, the S-Cross takes care of you with 7 airbags, including one for the driver's knee. And on the active front, there's the usual complement of features like brake assist, stability control, plus a hill holder. Higher spec models of the S-Cross, like this GLX, get a grainy, low-resolution reversing camera, which really isn't the best. And we think it needs to be at least standard across the range, and also improved resolution before it earns our safety tick. The S-Cross is cheap to run because the engine is economical. Suzuki will tell you it averages 6.2 litres per 100 kilometres, but we feel this is optimistic. Over our week with the car, we saw figures of about 8 litres per 100 kilometres, which is still pretty good. The S-Cross also benefits from Suzuki's generous 5-year cap price servicing program, which limits your annual spend to $249 to maintain the car. Negotiating a deal on the Suzuki S-Cross shouldn't be much of a problem, and if you can price a mid-range model in the high $20,000 range, we think it represents good value in the crossover segment. We are impressed at how Suzuki is upping its game. And if you're after a wagon with a few tricks, it's definitely worth looking at the S-Cross.